Welcome to Blue Collar Mystics, the under-the-hood approach to the depths of human consciousness. So many mysteries, so little time, so many big words. That's why we aim to take the mystical and make it practical, usable in your everyday life. And you know, we want to hear from you. We want to hear your story. What happened when you started asking yourself the real questions? Like, who am I? What is this? Is it a hologram? Is this some kind of weird cosmic joke? Hey, these are the questions that we are trying to get to the bottom of as we explore the final rabbit hole together here as Blue Collar Mystics. Right. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the show, Blue Collar Mystics. We are joined with two of my favorite podcasters from the Grimerica podcast. We got Graham and we got Darren. You guys are not together in the same space. You're in studio, Darren, and Graham, where are you at?
I'm in studio, just in a different one.
Man, you guys have like multiple studios. You're crushing it. I love it, man. It's great.
Graham, quit coming over.
He just didn't want me to come anymore. He's like, you might as well just stay at home. So I'm like, all right, I'll stay.
Invited you tonight.
No problem.
I invited you over tonight.
Well, you guys have been making the most of it for sure. Want to say some of the audiobooks and stuff like that have just been killer. And y'all have been hammering those out. If people aren't familiar, I'm going to go ahead and do a little screen share here and show your guys' website and talk a little bit about what you have been doing, because I love it. Grimerica.ca. You guys are Canadian, I'm sure. I'm sure that comes off pretty obviously. Lot of video. You guys are up to over 500 podcasts now, I think, at this point. And some of the books, audiobooks, I wanted to take a look at this. This is really cool. I love what you guys have been doing here. Tons of old titles that are on Amazon or Audible audiobooks and all over. We'll talk a little bit more about this.
Hey, there's you.
Yeah, that's right. I even did one for you guys, and it was really cool. You guys should check it out. The Rudolf Steiner book is
right there in the black and gold, the philosophy of spiritual activity. Right
this
there.
one here. Yeah. And just a bunch of them. Joe Rupe's got one or two in here, I think, too. A couple other folks. And speaking of that, last year we did the first Magic on the Mountain, and this year we're going to do the second, and I'm really excited about this too. It's just so surreal to be able to hang out with everybody in person. You guys did this when nobody was really going out of their house. We were all kind of locked in, and you guys were like, you know what? Fuck this. We're going to bring ourselves to people and physically do that. We went on a big hike. We're at Shasta this year, but you guys have gone all over, even up to and including Egypt. Is that right?
Well, we haven't gone to Egypt yet.
Okay.
We're going to Egypt in like 3 weeks. So yeah, it's coming up fast. I'm getting the flight is starting to be a little bit, it's going to be a doozy.
How many hours?
The flight home is 20 hours.
Oh my God. Yeah, that's a long one.
Yeah. So it's like, and that's not straight flying time. I think it's like 7-hour flight, then like 5-hour layover, then another like 7 or 8 hour flight. But it'll be worth it. It'll be great to get over there and see all the sights and hang out. I'm excited.
Yeah, that sounds like a really cool trip. I would love to do that. I'm excited for ours at Shasta, folks. You can still get in on that. That's going to be in February, so check it out. I got a link for that in the show notes as well, so check that out. We can hang out in real time with a true shaman, and Greg Carlwood actually be there from the Higherside Chats, as well as Joe Rupe and Brandon Powell. Brandon Powell, very, very badass Wim Hof type of instructor, and the place just looks super swanky. So I'm pretty excited about it. Well, dudes, Yeah, thanks so much for coming on the show. This is legendary. I've been wanting to get this together for quite some time. So thank you so very much for it.
No problem. I'm excited to be here.
Hell yeah. Well, let's kick it off. I want to get into some paranormal stuff. I'm happy to talk about pretty much whatever you guys want to. It is that time of year, that time of season. Down here, it's cooling off. It's fall. The leaves are turning. Halloween's around the corner, all that good stuff. So I thought we'd talk a little bit about some paranormal stuff. But there's a ton of crazy shit happening right now. It's just bananas and absolutely nuts. I can't peel myself away from some of this stuff.
What's your favorite thing right now?
Right now, it's the Kanye thing. I can't stop.
What did Kanye do? Is it the White Lives Matter?
Yeah, he did that, but he's been on like a bunch of shows now too. So he just keeps pushing the envelope further and further.
Too far? Has he gone too far?
They say he's gone too far.
I don't think so. That's they.
What did he say?
You can't listen to they.
What did he say?
I mean, you'd have to find the deleted interviews and stuff. Like I've seen clips and stuff. There's a lot of people who are doing good commentary on it. But
I do him or her.
He is saying all kinds of stuff. He's being more specific about the media. He's calling people out and in a more specific way. And
I heard he called out the Jews.
Is that what
I heard?
Yeah, that's what he's saying. I think he's trying to be a little bit more specific, and people are calling him crazy. They're deleting everything, that he's posted. They're deleting his Twitter and all that kind of stuff. They're saying he's crazy. He was on Tucker Carlson, and then he was on. Can you believe this? Chris Cuomo now has a show on Fox News.
What?
I thought he got fired from CNN.
I thought he was going to make I thought he was going to make this podcast. He was talking about the Cuomo podcast. Did that not happen?
I don't follow Cuomo closely enough.
These losers think that podcasting is easy, that they're just going to swoop in and then nobody listens.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing about it. Hillary's podcast, have you listened?
No, but it's easy to make a podcast when you're used to nobody listening.
Yeah, I bet hers is great.
No, that's a good point, though. When you're used to the mainstream attention, everything being scripted, it's totally different.
It is. You have to actually have some substance, personality. You have to engage people. You have to say outlandish things or at least controversial things. That's one thing I'm learning, actually. I'm learning the thing, like the most like intriguing or dramatic or fucking stupid childish thing. That's the thing people will click on the most, That's what people really want to engage with as far as content goes, which is pretty disappointing, if I'm honest,
You should eat a Tide Pod at the end of the show.
Eat a Tide Pod tonight, live on air.
Or just suck some dick for cock.
Oh, my God.
Let's suck some dick for cock. Oh, my God. I mean... Well, it's all about ratings. Did you guys ever see that movie Network? You familiar with that movie? It's kind of a cult classic.
Yeah. It was good.
That was a good one.
Yeah. With Darren, I tried to get Darren to guess the quote from him a couple months back, and he didn't get it.
I'm mad as hell, and I'm not gonna take it anymore.
I don't think I've seen that one.
It's a good one. It's definitely a classic. If you hadn't seen that, I do recommend it. But it's definitely ahead of its time, for this
What was the Michael Douglas one where he gets just leaves his car in traffic? Was it
falling down?
Falling down, yeah.
That one makes more sense these days.
Is that the one where he walks into the McDonald's and just unloads on everybody?
Yeah,
I remember that. Yeah, that's a wild.
I want breakfast. Sir, we're not serving breakfast.
You get all day breakfast at most of these places now.
That's what they're everybody's been in that situation though, and so that's what the writers were tapping into is your anger when they switch you over on that time. So it's like everybody can identify with that scene if you give a fuck about fast food. I don't eat that crap. That's Frankenfood. But
sometimes I eat it. I have to. One thing I'm gonna rail against is audio messages because it's like I can't listen to an audio message if
I'm
I'm
telling you, this is the worst, right? Like in Telegram.
Did you know that Darren was against
They use
that?
it as a walkie-talkie. I'm like, come on, you guys, stop.
I'm,
I refuse to participate. I'm like, I'm not listening. I'm not listening.
yeah,
I hate it.
I'll be so far behind, but what can I do? I'm on a Zoom call. I'm on a podcast. I'm editing audio. You want me to stop editing audio, listen to what you got to say, which could be way shorter if you just type it out. You know what I mean? Let's be honest. Or you could dictate it. You could just say it into the thing. Everybody's different, right? Like, so I know for some people,
Or you could just not hold people accountable for their way to choose to communicate with you, and because it's uncomfortable. I mean, you can get to that voice message whenever you want.
yeah,
I do. I hold them accountable. I just not listening.
I just ignore it. I mean, it's not that I ignore it. I just other things get in the way, so it irritates me. I'm an inbox to zero type of guy, so I like to, I know I have some friends they'll have 3,000 text messages and shit. And
That's it, guy. It drives me crazy.
I can't.
Just looking at his phone gives me anxiety. Got like 26,000 unread emails.
Well, of course, dude. Those are just all spam and stuff. They just show up there. That's.
You just delete them.
But I had a problem with the voice thing at first, but now I love it because you can just put your phone aside and it goes through everybody's thing in order, and I get to listen like 10 messages in a conversation without looking at my phone. Until Darren comes up, and then and then he has to type in like 10 one-word texts.
I mean, it's just a voicemail. Jeez, we had to live at that for 20 years. It's all
I
right.
remember. Yeah,
we're going backwards.
I don't.
I'm listening to a voicemail on my fucking tape recorder again.
Oh my God, same,
Just text
dude.
it.
Yeah, it's 2022, man. Just text me.
That is a text.
Darren
my
likes
voicemail
text too
says.
much, though. I mean, I send Darren a text. Get this. I send Darren a text like, this is some of the stuff I need to discuss with you. It's like 5 points. So I'm like, the next time we talk, like tonight before the show or after the show, we'll talk about this stuff. And he's got to start answering them in text, right?
Well, yeah,
half of them, only half of them. So it doesn't really so we can't really discuss it because he's just going to give me 1 or 2 word answers on stuff, but it's only half of the stuff. So he hasn't answered all.
On you. That's on you.
That's on me to remember and follow up with you.
You forgot about these, bro. And I could be like, oh, I'm sorry. Fuck off.
Man, I drove 40,000 miles this year, and I don't have time to dictate and edit the things that the computer can't hear. And if somebody wants to text me while I'm driving and we don't want to have a phone conversation, then yeah, I'm going to send a voice message, and I have no attachments to when you get back to me with that. But
perfect.
I'm not getting into it.
That's a great way. That's a great reason for that.
So for the record, you can always phone me.
Yeah, right. I mean, I prefer a phone call, but most people don't fucking pick up.
I don't answer my phone. Snapchat me, and if you can't get me on Snapchat, then send me an Instagram message, and I'll shoot you a telegram, and we can rendezvous on Twitter.
So what we've clarified here is everybody has a different methodology that they prefer someone to contact them in, or whatever interface they are today. But you can't really dictate every single line of communication. And I can guarantee you that some of the better things that I would ignore are going to start coming in interfaces, which I have to participate in. For instance, I don't fucking like Facebook, but somehow, some way, people still find it important to make Facebook the intermediary between our communication, even if they have my phone number. So, it's like I'm done regulating how people want to communicate. And
I'm on a ban right now again.
Facebook, but you're too good at Facebook, Darren. That's the problem.
Winning.
No, it's cool. I get it. Everybody has more convenient ways to communicate. We're just riffing here. I listen to the voicemails things as soon as I can. But my voicemail on my phone, I swear to God, my outgoing voice message is, don't leave me a voicemail unless you're my friend, because it's I think I made it a couple of years ago. I was like, it's the 2000s, whatever. Don't leave me a voicemail unless it's funny and you're my friend. And then if it's funny and you're my friend, my voicemail's full. So text me, So long story short, you got to text me. But maybe I'll clear some space off just because I haven't heard a funny voicemail or like a prank voicemail in a while. Yeah, the times they are changing. That's for damn sure. Let's talk about
voicemail still from the eclipse in 2017.
I wonder what even is still in here. It's probably like a bunch of ex-girlfriends just bitching me out and shit. It'd be fun to actually go back and listen through some of the stuff that's probably still on there. But we all like audiobooks. Great segue, huh? Audio messages, audiobooks. Yes, huge fan. And we'll talk a little bit about this, and maybe talk about some of your guys' favorite ones that you've done. I'd love to hear, a little bit about that, because man, God, you guys have put out so much. I don't know how you do it. It's kind of insane. There's got to be 25, 30 titles just on your page here.
I think it's 73 total now.
Jesus. 73 audiobooks. And
you're on mute, Graham, but I bet you're sick.
Yeah, I've been saying some good stuff. Yeah, about 70 titles. We got a really good one on Grimerica Outlawed. We just popped it out. Fan favorite. It's a transcription of Mr. Putin's speech.
Okay,
Grimerica
cool.
Outlawed. It's about 50-minute podcast, and it just narrates the whole thing. So there's a sample for you.
I asked for a Russian accent, but he refused.
I can't do characters.
That'd be a fun one to hear, though. For sure.
I got it. I'm building an outtakes reel.
Oh boy.
Your outtakes were funnier. You were having a good time with it. Graham gets very upset.
Well, after the 10th try at some sentence, and it's always the last fucking word that gets you, it gets frustrating.
Yeah, that would be really funny. That'd be a funny like series of sketches too. You could get like a Samuel L. Jackson reading an audiobook, and screwing up sketch. He just goes fucking ham. It's easy to do. When you miss it 4 or 5, God damn, and some of these titles, I mean, good on you for being able to do, because some of this stuff is so wordy. It's almost better to kind of cut it down if you can, because it's so freaking verbose. Like, what's your approach been with that, with some of these older books?
Just power through it. What's that, Darren?
Verbatim.
Yeah, verbatim. Yeah. I have an issue with that. I do. I have to fucking do it verbatim. I mean, it's like, well, that's the way it's written, so I'm not going to correct it as I go along. I just do it verbatim.
Totally fine with pronouncing things however he decides.
No. I look them all up. Some of them are just the only reference is the book I'm reading. So what do you do in that case? It's nowhere to be found except for the book I'm reading.
You gotta make it up.
Well, then I just follow my intuition and go for it.
I mean, it's a cult. This stuff some of it would be dead anyway.
Exactly.
20 or 30 or 40 years down the road, somebody's going to be doing a spell, an incantation, and you're not working the way that you express the word.
Hey, they fucked with the English language anyways. I mean, they got rid of the
J, wasn't it?
The J's and they. I wonder about that.
Huh.
They messed with our language. Yeah, and they added the K's and they changed the S's and the F's and all. You wonder what it was really sounding like back then,
Was it also the Jews?
It was the Jews.
The U's. It was the U's.
It was the U's.
It was the U's.
Got it.
Use.
Oh no, that's great, man. Yeah, I like that. That one book that I did, it was a little wordy, and that's a smart guy too, Rudolf Steiner. He is no slouch. I mean, he was a scientist first, and then started writing all the spiritual stuff and backing up his work that way. So it was definitely some thick stuff. What's been a couple of your favorites? So you got the Unabomber Manifesto. I forgot my
favorite.
That one's good.
That's my favorite. I think
really
that's
good.
The only one I listen to.
I like a couple of H.G. Wells books, the New World Order from H.G. Wells and The Fate of Man, because he's a really good writer, and it's interesting.
Shh.
I know. Fate of Man is coming, but he gets he's I don't know. It's interesting to see what sort of some of those what people would call globalists back then. I'm not really convinced about all these connections that people are claiming. But it's interesting to hear what they had to say. Proofs of a Conspiracy there is a really good one. That's kind of popular right now. But if you scroll up, Behavior of Crowds is another one, because they talk about how manipulatable the masses were back then 100 years ago. And they talked about this crowd behavior that we're seeing right now in society. But it was there back then, you know. When they say crowd, they mean like what we would call group think. You know, really interesting book because it's so old, you know. Some of these things are really resonating with what's going on today. And then I like some of the history ones, like history of spiritualism and history of the supernatural, just kind of give real good overviews of that, you know.
Yeah, that's cool. I didn't realize this book existed, The Behavior of Crowds. I knew of Gustave Le Bon's book.
Yeah, he references that one a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the transurfing book that is really, really prevalent. And Mark Stavish's work too, the egregores, also are both really good books that talk a lot about groupthink and how people do insanely illogical and stupid things, you know, just because they're around a bunch of other people who are doing that. You know, even myself, I was talking to a friend of mine today. I think she did send me a voice message actually. And she was talking about dreams being seeded. Like she saw a commercial on television that said, dream about this. And it was like in the clouds, in the clouds around like this van or something. I can't remember what it was, but it kind of blew my mind because I frankly, nothing surprises me anymore. I don't know about you guys. I imagine
it takes a lot.
Yeah, it definitely takes a lot. And the idea of, you know, like Westworld, you know, what thoughts are your thoughts? You know, what's, you know, was it really my idea or was it really my impulsion to do this, or did somebody else that I just heard from over here kind of influence me to do this kind of thing? You know?
Here's a quote from that book. It's exactly what you're saying, and this is 100 and something years old. The effect of all this upon the individual is that he is permitted neither to know nor to belong to himself. So you won't know yourself or belong to yourself. He becomes a mere banner toter. He must hold himself ever in readiness to wiggle waggle in the perpetual Simon Says thumbs up game which his crowd is playing. He spends his days playing a part which others have written for him, loses much of his genuineness and courage, and pampers himself with imitation virtues and secondhand truths. I mean, how relevant is that?
Man, I challenge people to clarify their thoughts all the time, you know, because like you see somebody just like spouting something. It's like, is that really an original thought? Are you having an original thought? Because very little people have original thought. And a lot of the times you're just regurgitating something that you've heard the best argument for.
Yeah. Well, I mean, some of us, if we started with our original thought, it would be about 10 steps back from what the best argument is. So, I mean, how to, you know, how to disengage, but also understand and be able to build on the shoulders of other people, you know, because there are some great ideas out there, but that quote's absolutely perfect. And I think we see it so much. People will just jump on the bandwagon, whatever is the most, convenient, and it's not even about logic at this point anymore. Like whatever somebody says, people will just jump on it. It's an emotional just reaction for the most part. I think a lot of times it's not even that people would even attempt to think their own thoughts about something. I love a good take.
And I think most of us admit that we don't really know the truth a lot of times, or we're not, you know, it's not like we're not saying that like we know because we're some sort of original thinker, but at least we admit we're brainwashed. That's the main thing. I know I'm brainwashed. Just trying to figure out how sort of not to be, or be less brainwashed, or try and find some original thinking in there.
Yeah, that's really well put. Because what is the quote? It's like, it's easier to convince someone than to convince them they've been fooled, or something like that. And that's where we all
easier
have
to fool someone. Easier to fool someone than convince them they've been fooled.
Yeah, there it is. That's so profound, because nobody wants to admit that they were wrong. We have this little protective ego shell, right? It's like if I admit that I'm wrong, and we have to be right about reality too, because survival is at stake, you know, and even beyond survival. So it's like if I start eating poisonous plants, putting stuff in my body that's going to kill me, then obviously I don't survive. So I have a will to survive. But beyond that, it's like, I don't want to admit that I'm wrong because it makes me look stupid. And often it's some of the dumbest people who are the easiest to fool and won't go back and won't say, hey, I have been brainwashed. That's a thing that we've talked about a little bit on the show about, neurolinguistic programming and anchors that we have in us. And I mean, up to and including potentially seeding dreams, right? Like that it fucked me up so much when we were talking about that today, because I'm like, of course, a corporate giant would pay, 50 grand, 100 grand, $500,000, however much money that they have for their ad budget to just funnel it into a special project and see if we can't get people to dream about Hostess cakes or whatever it is. And then upon waking, or Bojangles biscuits, you know what I'm saying? Like the Bowberry, let's go. And then all of a sudden you wake up and you're dying for, some, what did you call the food, the fast food? Frankenfood. You're dying for some Frankenfood. You don't even know where that came from. Now, all of a sudden, it really is about the impressing upon that subconscious. And it takes a lot of work to start digging out some of these patterns and programs.
Now, I reserve the right.
My dreams.
Do you remember your dreams, Darren?
Me, no, few and far between.
Fair enough.
You?
I do. It kind of fluctuates, but I'm getting better at it. I've been like actively practicing. And
how do you practice?
Write down everything that you can remember, and then start asking yourself different questions during the day. Specifically, am I dreaming? And what the most frustrating thing is when I'm like, am I dreaming right now? And then like, some strange animal that I've never seen before, I'm riding on its back and we're like galloping through a field, and I'm like, no, this is normal. And then we just keep going, it's like some bizarre scenario, but it seems fine to me in the moment. Or I'll be like 40 feet in a tree, just rocking back and forth, and I'm like, no, this is Wednesday. I don't know why it seems so normal. One of the theories is that kind of like a 6 CD changer. Remember those? That whenever you start to wake up in the dream, that the dream emissary or whatever's in control of that like shifts and shuffles the CD on you, so it gives you a different scenario, so you don't realize that you're awake in the dream. And one of the big tells for me used to be reading. If I would read something, all the words would garble and move around and stuff. But now I can actually read in my dream. So that's bizarre, but it's just another like protective layer, I guess, of that. But that biggest thing. And then they say, and I can probably confirm this, but like cannabis use will suppress your dreams. Alcohol will suppress your dreams. Other substances can do the same thing as far as how you sleep and remember your dreams. We have Abby actually in the chat right now. What up? That's my homie who's a dreamer.
Graham's an old school pro lucid dreamer.
No, yeah, I'm not any good at it. I mean, I was just because I was trying 10 years ago, but
Have you done it? He does it though. He does it.
I had really crazy dreams last night. Now I'm trying to remember, but yeah, it was in the morning. And it's just insane. But now I can't even talk about them. So, but what
was it? A seeding dream? Did you seed?
No, but I did try that CBD that we got. So I mean, I thought maybe that had. No.
Graham gets high on CBD.
But I think it was the rest and sleep one, so maybe that had something to do with it.
Yeah.
Take it before bed?
Kinda. Yeah. Earlier on.
The evening.
I tried the lucidamine and all kinds of stuff. I mean, there's some of those herbs. There's some like light flashing glasses and stuff, and the wake back to bed method, and all that kind of stuff. I did it a couple times, but it was just my problem is I don't really have nightmares, so I like to just flow with the dream. So when the things changes, like I just go with it a lot. Like I kind of enjoy most of them are sort of like adventure dreams with lots of people and shit going on, and I just sort of go with it.
Small doses of caffeine are supposed to help with dreaming too.
What about extremely large doses of caffeine?
Well, maybe after you stayed up for 4 days and you pass out, check it out.
It's like coffee and cannabis are two of my favorite pastimes.
Yeah, the speedball.
In the dream. Once in a while, I'll have a dream. They're usually pretty, tame. No seeding.
Yeah, it's crazy to think. That messed me up today. Because I could just see that. I'm just perpetually feeling more and more like a character in the West world. Like it's a little bit paranoid, but whatever. It is what it is, and I want to escape that. Obviously, like I want to get outside the realm of established thought. I want to, bend and push beyond whatever like the group think is and that narrative, and actually, download that original thought that's outside of the matrix.
Hey, Wendy just said that her recipe for weird dreams is sleeping in and sleeping under a too hot blanket. I actually have been sleeping in every day this week, and I've been having saga dreams. They continue, the same characters, the same people doing the same shit. And it's actually I've been dreaming hardcore all week. And I almost don't want to get out of bed because they've been so badass. It's like we've been on these crazy adventures that I can only vaguely remember once I wake up. But I know what we were sort of doing, and it seems to be the same group of characters that are helping me solve these problems. It's been really awesome, but it's been unproductive. I got out of bed at 3:00 today because from 12 to 3, I was in deep REM sleep. Like it was pretty awesome.
Dude,
that's
probably
PM.
need it. You probably need that too. And that's a great place that ideas can come from, where you can kind of grasp onto the original thought. Sometimes they're dumb. Like I'll wake up and be like, that was the best joke I've ever heard. And then I'll write it down and I'm just like squirrel farts. Like, really? That's it? That's all I've got? No, that's not it. But definitely I have had success with the going back to sleep, up and back to sleep method. And then definitely later in the day, like you, James. And I can tell too, like I'll wake up and then if I like lay on one side, then, I'll remember one dream, or I can like re-enter into that one scenario. And if I'm on the other side, then I lean into that and I'll go into that other scenario. And I've jumped into a couple of dreams after coming out of them and getting up and then going back to bed and being able to do that. So that's what really got me on this whole seeding thing, where it's like, that whole thing. Cause I mean, if they'll pull an airplane with a message on the back of it, a billboard, put it on the highway, they'll try to find a way to advertise to you while you're sleeping. I know they will.
Yeah, it's called your phone. Don't sleep next to it.
Yeah. It'll be in the 6G. It'll just be like
just broadcasting right to your central nervous system. I actually turn that shit off before I go to bed.
We should get into the Faraday blankets game.
Oh, yeah.
Saturated, or can we still get into that? The blankets, say they're special, and resell them.
Just go to Goodwill. Get all the blankets.
You can actually get silver lining blankets, line blankets.
Just quickly spray paint them with a bit of lead paint and
just foil them. Yeah, just unwrap a roll of foil in there.
We just unstitch one side, throw in some tin foil. Resell it for like $300. Genius.
That's genius.
It is genius. We should talk after.
All right, we will. Yeah. So you guys have been doing this podcast. How long have you guys been at this? You guys have over 500 and something episodes I saw today.
Yeah, including Outlawed, it's probably 700 now.
Oh my God. So how many years have you guys been podcasting?
9.5.
9.5 years. Damn, since 2011 or 2012.
Beginning of 13.
Okay.
The podcast outlasted my marriage. It's not sad.
Yeah, it's outlasted all my relationships too, I think.
We're winning.
Yeah, hell yeah. It was just like the world ended in 2012, and then you guys were like, we got to do something. Let's start a paranormal podcast, right? That's awesome. Yeah. And I got to be on Outlawed. That was a fucking cool, fun show. You guys are doing that on Rockfin. What are some of the more interesting topics that you've covered? I mean, you guys have talked to a lot of people, but what's the bread and butter stuff?
Well, we recently talked about the DB Cooper mystery, because we were out with Brandon Powell actually at DB Cooper's son's Sky Pirate Ranch. We talked to him about that. So we sort of think that's been solved, and we got to interview his son. But that was just a little teaser on Outlawed. We had Gary McBride on recently, who's done the January 6th, all the footage review.
Wow.
He's reviewed all the footage from the big, bad, scary insurrection. We've had some vaccine injured advocates on there, like Susie Olson Corrigan recently. The War on Women with Isabella from Whose Body Is It? Chris Knowles on transhumanism and the transgender agenda, that kind of stuff. So that's kind of where we've been heading these days. Yeah.
Oh, is the transgender agenda tongue twister?
No.
Can you say it 5 times fast?
No, probably not. Just call it Chan's. See?
I was trying to come up with one too, but I was like, there's no way I'm not going to fuck this up.
Oh my God.
A very anti-status quo. That makes me happy.
Well, yeah. I mean,
mainstream agenda.
Yeah, it's pretty much everything against that. I mean, that's where we're at right now. I mean, this is where the battle is. We're getting siloed right now into that. So we might as well fight back a bit.
Say no to trannies. Just kids, so that's we only care about the kids. We don't care what adults do. Adults are free to do adult stuff. You know, that's up to you if you want to do that kind of stuff. But we just get, where the kids are involved, it's not okay.
And you're an authority to speak on it. Like, I don't have kids. Sometimes I wonder if I'm.
You can still say that cutting kids' dicks off is not okay.
Well, I know. Well, that's my joke. Is like, I don't even have kids. Now I have to fucking raise yours, people, but yeah, but I'm saying you are a legitimate.
I'm not an authority. Let's not. I have kids.
Well, that's what I mean.
Authority. I probably. Well, maybe I am. You're right. I am.
Yeah. There's something about to that. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, yeah, like you said, if you're an adult, do whatever you want. But I mean, at this point, it's kind of turning into. It seems like it was like having Nikes at my school, and everyone would look at you weird if you didn't have the shoes or the belt or the pants or whatever, the starter jacket, whatever it was. It's like it's a little bit of the ante is much higher at this point, though.
Yeah, but they don't tell you when you're a kid that fitting in is bullshit.
Exactly.
Like, you don't want to be like everybody else, and in fact, you want to differentiate and find your own path. And you don't realize that, and this is where this groupthink comes in, because you're afraid of not fitting in and not being part of anything. But I've been an outlier my whole life, and I fucking appreciate it more as an adult than I ever did as a kid. As a kid I had to suffer and not fit in, but now I don't want to fit in anywhere that I don't belong. Don't send me there. Don't try to box me into the bullshit.
Yeah, but we also have an inherent need to be a part of a group and to have friends and people around us too. So it's really manipulative when you twist the head of a young impressionable teenager or something like that. It's like you're saying, of course you appreciate it more now, because back then you were like, who am I? What am I? I want to be with party with you guys, and we grow out of that more and more as we get older, but it is part of our identity to want to be part of some sort of a group, so there is that. And so if they can take all that energy and then transmute it into, cutting their dick off or whatever, I don't know. I'm just using your words, Dan. Those are your words. Then, it could be a thing, right? Like, it's a trendy thing, but that's high stakes. And I don't think people realize it, but it's like, well, Brendan's Brenda now, and so I want to do this, and it's like, well, you probably shouldn't make that decision yet, but I remember wanting a motorbike and I got braces instead. You know what I'm saying?
You got braces?
Yeah.
I think my kid needs braces.
I got a Crown today.
One of them balls that you like, you chew on it and it's supposed to like strengthen some muscles. So we're gonna try that first.
The jaw ball, the jaw
I
breaker.
forget. There's like a special word for it, but we're gonna try that before the braces.
Cool.
How were the braces? You hated them?
I just wanted a 4-wheeler, dude. I was like, please. I just wanted something cool, but I guess I'm glad ultimately that I had braces. I wish I would have taken better care of my teeth. That's something that I would say I'd pass that along to posterity. Like, take better care of your teeth. But yeah, I mean, probably a good thing that I didn't really wear my retainer afterwards, but my teeth are pretty straight. So
I concur on that statement.
Yeah,
it's a struggle.
Yeah,
I hide my teeth behind the mic because they're crooked as fuck.
I mean, if we were to take care of our teeth, I mean, you just lose them playing hockey anyway. So whatever.
But like 30 years ago,
I got mine knocked out playing hockey as an adult.
Damn, that's committed.
But I just wanted a Kuahara when we were, I had to get the fake Kui as a kid.
What is a Kuahara?
It's a BMX. It was the trendy BMX bike back then in 1986 or whenever that was.
Yeah, I remember the bikes. That's cool. We liked to do a lot of the BMX, like racing, jump over the big hills and stuff, do some leaps. I definitely scared the crap out of myself and my mom a few times doing that. But I didn't knock any teeth out, fortunately. So there's that. Nor did I cut my dick off. So I'm still thinking about it.
He said on a BMX bike though.
Oh man. Hey, speaking of teeth and all that, it's like someone said something really crazy to me the other day that I never realized. It's like healthcare cares from the neck down. They don't give a fuck about your mind. They don't care about your eyes. They don't care about your teeth. Like, it's just not part of the thing. And I mean, I never put all that together. They don't care about your mental health. Like, everything from the neck down, they're willing to fix. But all the important shit for us to communicate and see and be and hear, nada. I don't care.
They will cut off a chunk of your arm and make a penis out of it.
Yeah.
But no fucking mental health care.
Yeah, no mental health. Fuck your hearing, fuck your eyes. We don't care. You're lucky. I read someplace that said that teeth is a luxury. How the fuck is that a luxury? Like, you need to mash your food up and digest it. Like, that is not a luxury.
Well, you shouldn't.
Luxury is a car with leather interior.
Well, you don't need teeth to chew up crickets and insects and stuff, right?
Very good. It would be like you just suck it in through a straw.
Yeah, they just mash it up into butter.
If you want to eat bugs, I mean, there is no more world hunger. I'll tell you that.
Are you a proponent?
Eat some grubs.
Do you think we should eat bugs, James?
No, I actually like I like a full spectrum of foods. Definitely do not. I would definitely eat some bugs if I was out hiking on the trail and hungry, for sure. But I wouldn't mandate it.
I might.
I think all the 1%ers should eat bugs. Like, let's let them fuck around with some bugs for a little bit.
Yeah, it'd be nice to see folks who are making all kinds of different edicts and rules actually have to live by those rules for, I don't know, a day, 2 days.
Loopholes, man, loopholes. There's a back door for all the people making rules. Anarchy. Can't say enough about it.
Yeah, inform us.
Oh, I mean, a lot of people think it's the people running around freaking going crazy and doing whatever the hell they want, but it's really just growing some food and fucking having some chickens in the backyard and keeping it to yourself. So, that's frowned upon too now, things like collecting rainwater and having urban gardens and things like that.
Does seem to be the end of the political journey. You start as just a stupid kid, leftist kid, and then the older you get, you sort of get to center, and then you have some money and stuff, and then you get conservative. I don't want to give all my money. I'm sick of paying all these fucking taxes. The government is fucked. Holy fuck, they're all criminal pedophiles. We need to go into the bush and never talk to them again. Pretty much the political journey.
Hey, I grew up on a community, a nonviolent community where my father actually counseled people who were running from the army, who were AWOL from the army. And so we housed and fed people who came through who were actually on the run. And, like having that exposure at an early age really just gave me a disdain for, that type of just the government in general. Like, the fact that now they own you because you sign a piece of paper because you're fucking hungry.
Draft dodgers.
Yeah. I mean, we definitely had a few draft dodgers. We had people who walked off, but who literally left battlefields and left their bases and never went back. And they would try to counsel them through, all their options and help them get Canadian citizenship and things like that.
No wonder we're so weak.
You filled your country full of draft dodgers during Vietnam.
And now they just want to make us get these jabs, for fuck's sakes.
Now everybody's folding up like a picnic table.
Hey, man, the acronym for job is just over broke. That's some slave shit right there. You got to have a purpose. That's really the activities you need to be engaging in. And, having a job needs to be a means to an end, to a final goal that means something. Otherwise, it's just a trap. It's a trap.
Yeah, it's getting harder and harder. I will say that, for people who are trying to do it yourself, and it just becomes not to cloud the water or say anything negative. It's still totally doable, but it's almost like there's just more and more, issues to have to navigate,
I agree. Man, I walk a line that would make most adults cringe. I just took a 25,000 mile trip with $1,500. Like, I made it happen. It was amazing. Had a great time. I mean, I don't think there's a lot of people that would do what I've done to live my purpose. Like, it's like, of course, their purpose is completely different. But
sure,
it's about belief. When you're on purpose, the universe conspires for you. And it's this idea, this attachment and addiction to funding and money and needs that really dictate that idea that you need to get a job. And bad decisions that add up. I don't have very many liabilities, so I can do whatever I choose to do with my time.
Hell yeah. It takes a certain amount. I mean, it takes a lot of courage to go out there and do your thing and really differentiate and be who you are. It's not an easy thing, and it's not something that it's like you make the choice once and then it's just easy forever. One of my favorite
a continuous choice.
It's a continuous. One of my favorite authors is Stephen Pressfield. He wrote a book called The War of Art. He's got a couple other ones. One of the things that he says is that he agrees with you that the universe does conspire with you, but he says it also conspires against you. So like as soon as you say that you're going to do a certain thing, there's going to be a bunch of resistance there. The idea of balance. So it's like, I'm going to do this thing. And then all of a sudden, in some form of resistance, it might even just be procrastination or something like that.
Yeah,
but that
yourself.
That gets in your way. And then, once you overcome that, then you get that push, the universe conspires with you as well. That seems to be pretty accurate as far as my experience goes. And, you know, it's been really cool watching you guys, especially over the past couple of years. I know it hasn't been easy, but I'd love to talk a little bit about that. You know, we talked about it in Arizona a little bit, just finding something to believe in, something that that works for you, you know, and you guys are really doing, you know, your own thing, still doing other things too, but you're doing your own thing now. That's a long road. I mean, since 2012, that's 10 years. It's quite the journey.
It was pretty weird because we had an opportunity to do this audiobook for a guest, and I had read the book, and I was like very intimidated by narrating it. But I was already thinking about narrating books. Like I was going to narrate a D&D book and my friend's How to See a UFO book and this recovery book. And I had narrated the big book when I got sober in like 2008. So like these weird things came to me that sort of started to line up. And then Darren and I were sort of trying to sort of manifest like multiple revenue streams and like, how do we sort of build this, and not in a way like, but just in an organic way still. Right. So I had to overcome this fear because my initial reaction is, no, I've got a job. I can't do that. I got to say no. And I talked to Darren and then I was like, why aren't I just facing my fear and do it? Like just saying yes to this. And then it opened up this huge floodgate, just going through that fear at first and then saying yes. And then, you know, we read a bunch of books, regardless of, this is what I think is part of the thing. The action that helps manifest these things is just doing the stuff, right? It's not worrying about if you're going to get paid for it and all. It's like most of the things that I've been successful at, I had a stint either volunteering with them or just doing them for free at first, like the podcast, audiobooks, even painting. I helped sort of somebody paint and volunteered to paint an addiction place that opened up more doors for me. So just taking that action, I think, helps. So then we got to the point where we had this kind of like back catalog of recordings, and I quit my job. I decided to quit my job and we just make a go at this. Like I'll just sort of take a leap of faith with the podcast and these books and talk about like universe conspiring. I mean, all of a sudden Darren managed to get these books published that we had already done all at once. We got a couple really good ones out, and then Audible and that whole process tightened up. They tightened up their whole system. So we were able to get a whole bunch more through. And then all of a sudden, like everything kind of came together at the right time and we were able to sort of make a go of it. And it really, when I think back of it now, I'm like, wow, that was pretty kind of risky, but it did really come together. I mean, we would have made it work anyways, but it really felt like everything sort of clicked into place all at once.
Yeah, that's cool.
Hey, Darren?
Yes. We were probably doing the events at the same time. I mean, it all sort of started doing it all at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah, the events thing is really cool too, that you guys especially did it in the face of freaking COVID, you know. That was one of the coolest experiences just because I hadn't been around people at all, you know, and all of us, it was that way, you know, so it was pretty damn cool.
Was that this year? That was just this year, right?
That was just this year. Yeah. It's crazy. It hasn't even been a year.
Beginning. Was it February?
February.
Yeah,
That's right.
We already done 3 by then. We did 3 in 2021. I want to say we did 3. We did have 2 scheduled for 2020, but we had to cancel them. Or we didn't cancel them, we postponed them because like the venues were closed and they just refunded our plane tickets. They were like, you ain't going anywhere, motherfuckers. And so we pushed all the 2020 stuff up to 2021. So we did 3 events over all that COVID hysteria. We had a COVID super spreader event where
Hey, I've been to super spreader events all year long, and I can't catch that shit if I tried.
You would have caught it at this one.
Oh yeah, we all got it.
Yeah,
22 of us.
Everybody got it, and then we crossed an international border with COVID, which was an experience in itself. Graham was in the back, all sick. They're yelling at him, so I started yelling at the lady, and then Graham starts yelling at me. It was fun.
So what did you mean, Owen, about it's harder nowadays to do it on your own? Like, what did you mean, like economy wise, or it's just becoming saturated, or what's your thought?
A little bit of everything.
I think it's a little bit of it's a little bit of both of those things, and it kind of depends on what you're trying to do, right? It's a bit of finding your own way too, because I mean, a lot of people will just start a podcast, like cool, but I mean, do they have like an end goal for that? Is that like, what's their business model? There's all these different comedians now. They're putting out their own specials. They each have their own business model, the way that they're doing it. Like Stavros Salkias, puts up these short clips, all leading up to his, 1 hour special that comes out in 2 months. Great business model. Definitely it works. But contrast that to somebody else and they have a completely different strategy. And I think it's just, you have to find what works for you, because everyone wants to sell this, like, this homogenized, already put together thing. And you're just supposed to take that and copy it. And then you're going to have all the success in the world. But then you just become a carbon copy, or like a parody, literally, of whatever it is that you're emulating. So it's difficult in that manner. But I think also the economy too is definitely really been challenging lately. And you got to understand, it's hurting everybody. Like, if you're offering a service, or if you want a service, and you're like, I really want to work with you, or I really want to do this thing, but I can't swing it right now, So, so it is kind of a new economy, I think. And a lot of the older models are fading away, and that's always going to happen. There's always going to be new challenges that we have to face, and new predicaments and situations. But I think just customizing that template and finding your own path, that's the beauty. I think that just that's that's really cool. Joe, I see Joe Rupe in the chat. He just linked the Pimp Hand. What was that book that Brandon was talking about? It's like a pimp book that came out in the 70s. Pimp Games.
Oh my God. Yeah. Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's in here somewhere.
We're not going to talk pimping tonight, are we?
No.
Is Joe Rupe the anonymous Facebook user?
Yeah, he is.
Oh my God.
Iceberg Slim, he says. That's the name of the guy.
Unless you get the app for Rockfin on and let Facebook talk to Rockfin, everybody's going to be anonymous.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Yeah, he's not doing that on purpose.
Yay.
But yeah, in this type of economy, the way to really thrive is to save people time and save people money, or give people information that can help them make money. And somewhere in there, it doesn't matter how bad the economy is or how bad inflation is, people are still business as usual, and they have to meet their bottom lines. And providing those extras that help people get through that. Yeah. Services that get through that.
Yeah.
It is a way. And, it's like, if you help someone connect some dots, they're going to pay for it if it helps them move farther through their goals.
Yep. Be of service to people. That's part of I think that's part of the trick.
Which goes full circle on sucking dick for cock.
There we go. I knew we'd get into some deep territory tonight. Some paranormal, astral, sexual favors. Well, if you read the Robert Monroe books, he does talk about sex is a thing. In the astral as well. He's talking about, and that always,
dude, just recently.
What?
Well, we had a guest on that was astral sexing and astral fighting, and turned out to be a goddess in the end. She turns out to be god of the universe.
Isn't that fun? Nobody's ever a fucking janitor in their past life, No.
This is now. This is like now.
This is now.
This is like, we haven't got it. We didn't want to go there, but
current.
Yeah.
God. Okay. Well, hey, all right.
Hey, everybody's deciding they want to be called something nowadays, so you might as well just hop on the bandwagon.
Yeah. Just go for the highest level altogether. I mean,
Absolutely.
So I do have a weird paranormal thing talking about dreams and all that kind of stuff. But I'll tell you what, I'm gonna just give you a heads up right now. Is honestly, I can't talk about it.
What?
Because what do you mean? What? You know this is like
You bring it up and then you're like, oh yeah, I can't talk about it.
no. There's a story behind it because when I talk about it, it happens, right? And it can't happen. I mean, it's a protection thing for
already
somebody.
fucked it up. It's too late.
No, it's not. No. I'm not saying anything more. But I mean, this is how powerful this stuff is, right? Like
It is
this
powerful.
is that. I mean, there's other shit going on in other realms, and if every fucking time I talk about it, it happens.
Wait, you fucked up.
No.
Yep.
Nope.
I'm sorry.
No. I'm
Hey,
not,
speaking of paranormal stuff, I actually live in the oldest town in Tennessee, and they literally have paranormal tourism where you can tour like the inn and these, slave quarters and all these places, and they rent you equipment and you can play Ghostbusters. I mean, that's not something that I'm going to regularly engage in with my heavy schedule of activities, but I find it really interesting that, it's right around the corner and there somebody's, pulling cash in on that.
Yeah, I'm not much of a ghost hunter, but I mean, I do believe in it all. So,
What do you think ghosts are?
I think it's multiple things. This is going to be my answer to everything. Almost is multiple things, but I think it could be leftover sort of energy stuff, and also I'll have to think about my other answers. Darren, what do you think?
Fake.
You don't think it's somebody's soul that's escaped?
Maybe
their
it
body?
is. Maybe it could be.
The other thing I've been thinking lately is that it could be humans, masters that are actually just showing themselves to people in other realms. Like it's not even a ghost; it's somebody in this world, a human in this world that's messing with us. Yeah,
They're just astrally projecting. It's just Joe.
Yeah,
That's Aunt
shit off
Susie.
your counter.
It's fucking Joe Rupe. That's exactly what it is.
What I've noticed for sure is that you guys have all thought about that way more than I have. I guess I just take ghosts for granted.
My grandfather used to tell us some doozy ghost stories, and they were so creepy, and he had perfected them. He had his whole life to just scare the shit out of his grandchildren to figure out these stories, and that's basically what he would do. And I have had
true though.
They were.
I think he was fucking with you.
I don't know. It's hard to maybe a little bit of both. Maybe you tell some of those stories and you just believe that they happened.
Can you tell us one now?
I'll tell one for sure. There's a couple, and there was one where like my grandfather and my grandmother, they lived in Kentucky. This is one of the most memorable ones. For a long time, all his family's from Kentucky. And so they went up there for a family reunion into this backwoods holler somewhere. And then they're driving out and it's late at night. And so they're driving down a dirt road. And when they're driving down the dirt road, they see this store, like a general store open. There's a lady in there dusting the shelves. The lights are on, and there's a man just sitting out in the front, just rocking in his rocking chair. And they walk up and ask the guy, for directions because they got lost. And so the guy was like, yeah, so if you just turn back this way, go down here, you'll be, right where you need to be. That's all you got to do. So they get in the car and they turn around and they start driving that way. And they say that as they're driving, this dirt road just gets narrower and narrower. Like the trees are just kind of coming in further and further and further and further. And then they just turned around because it was just almost no road anymore. And they turned around and went back. And when they drove back by, that general store wasn't even there. It was just gone. And they somehow made it back to Georgia.
Oh, I love it. Like a time slip and everything in there, maybe.
Oh, that sounds lucky.
They were just smoking weed. They got turned around.
We had a tiny little ghost thing happening when we were 16, probably 1986, 1985. Yeah, probably. Yeah, it must have been 85 probably. And my friend's dad, they had this house with a turret with a tower in it. And it was supposed to be haunted from this old. So this is what makes me think there is something to the people left over, right? The people's energy that are left over. So we were up there like hotboxing the turbo. We were taking pictures in the dark, and then when we got them developed,
hotboxing in 1985. God damn, gangster.
I mean, Cheech and Chong was hotboxing in the 70s. Well, how old were you in 1885, Ted?
I was
I was 15. I mean, we hotboxed the Camaro. So get this. We went up to the top of this hill.
I always think he's a dork, but he was just a gangster.
Dude, we couldn't even light the lighters in there. We were like, why aren't the lighters going anymore? There's no oxygen left in the car to light the lighters. I mean,
were you guys passing out?
I puked up 12 donuts in a big mound of dough.
And you're blaming the weed?
Yeah. Just like,
you should blame the ghost.
Like, oh my God. Bloop. No, this is a different story completely. So we're in this turret taking pictures, and we get the pictures developed, and there's a picture of like a cummerbund and an orb and a glove and like a shape of a guy, right? Like glowing the same color, and it matched sort of like this description of who this ghost was supposed to be. And then there was a second picture of an orb, I think, too. And my girlfriend at the time, her mom was like, just leave that alone. Like, she was totally trying to warn us against it, right? Because I think we were even playing with the Ouija board in school a little bit and stuff too back then. But yeah, that's just something little. But I mean, it was prevalent enough back then that it definitely was something weird on the film there.
Yeah, I've never played with a Ouija board. Those things give me the absolute creeps. I mean, what are people thinking?
I seen Ouija boards at the toy store the other day.
Oh yeah,
that's where you buy them.
They buy them, yeah.
It's like there's a Mr. Potato Head right here, or a potato head. Oh fuck! I just got canceled. All the other stuff was fine, and then a Ouija board right beside that. You know, these two things are not really.
Don't be summoning and doing incantations, man. That's like it's just not a good.
Oh yeah, I know. I mean, if I would have, it's so funny then playing D&D in school and stuff, and then realizing after 9 years of podcasting that most of the shit is real.
You've been D&D in for 35 years.
No. What? No. I just started a couple of years ago. I'm just telling you, like, and as a kid, you just thought, oh, this is all just sort of make believe stuff. But then once you start really looking into stuff, it's like, oh wow, there's much of this stuff is actually there's something there.
Wait a second. You mean the current established timeline for human history ain't real?
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
yeah,
my
exactly.
God, I gotta go back to the books now. Jeez.
Yeah, exactly. You know, the hobbits and giants and dragons and magic and you know, paranormal and other realms and all this stuff.
Yeah. That's what's crazy. I mean, you know, it's for me, I kind of got into this whole libertarian sort of mindset and maybe like 2012, whatever. Still a fan of all those principles and stuff, but I got into like objectivism and like, oh, well, if it doesn't make sense, it's not rationally, it's not there, it's not real. And it's like, well, there are so many more dynamics. And so, yeah, so many more experiences that are beyond that. And things can make sense and feel good too. That I needed to learn that. That took me even longer, you know, but like idea is just like, like all these different specific. It's like I got Gordy right now in the chat. He's saying we need to talk about winged pantherines. I know we do. I can't wait to hear what happens with this conversation. But if you would have told me that 10 years ago, I'd have been like, you know, you can't if you can't explain it, right? Like even things into like intuition and emotion, which are very clearly, obviously things, you know, that we experience. Even those things I was in sort of a denial about. But but yeah, I mean, all these different experiences, the paranormal experiences that I'd had earlier were always still in the back of my mind. I told Joe not too long ago that I saw some sort of weird ghosty demon thing once when I was in high school. And it was real weird too, because I was just laying in bed and I guess it could have been a dream, I guess. I don't think it was, but I was just laying in bed and this like angelly, like white translucent like thing with some wings, speaking of Gordy, was like hovering and floating above me. The wings weren't doing anything, but it was just hovering there. And its head, I said to it, are you like of God, or like, are you of, Jesus? I was a Christian at the time. And at the time, what happened was its head went from being like this to being like cocked over like this sideways. It like rolled sideways to its head and then started moving and shaking its head sideways forward. Yes and no. Looked like a yes, really was saying no. It was super confusing. But that shit freaked me out, but I never forgot that. Like, it was always there in the back of my head. So even when I'm, trying to be rational and logical and be like, well, everything has to make sense perfectly, and I'm skeptical and all that. And I think a lot of skeptics, being too skeptical, it can really suck the magic out of whatever it is that you're trying to do anyways. But those little things were always just in the back of my head, and just always triggering me to, think a little bit more broadly, maybe even to feel broadly, not just think about that kind of stuff. I can't remember exactly what inspired me to tell that story again, but yeah, maybe a little bit of Gordy. He's been having giants and dogmen dominating his dreams, and that's where it gets crazy. Like, we might see giants. Who freaking knows? Like, I know there's been a lot of articles and stuff about giants. Have you guys done any poking around into the giants of the early 1900s and any of that kind of stuff?
Yeah. We did a couple of shows on that. A lot of articles in the papers, and yeah, I think that's a fascinating topic.
It's crazy.
We had Gary Wayne on talking about the Genesis 6 conspiracy. So talking about the bloodlines and the giants. Yeah,
I got to listen to that episode.
Brandon Powell is all in on the giants.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. That's great.
He made the pyramids and everything.
Yeah, that's what I think. They didn't necessarily make him through strength, but I think they were the ones that had the technology to basically like melt that granite, that kind of technology. I mean, I'm totally just going out of my ass here, making stuff up. There's no evidence for this, but this is my sense right now. Is it? And they got taken out. Like, they were at the point where they're making things bigger and bigger. Like, the Snake Brothers of the Serpent did a great presentation on our YouTube. If it's still up, if our YouTube is still up, it's called Unfinished, and it's about all these ancient megalithic buildings from Egypt and all over the world, but they were left, like, it's like somebody dropped the tools and they were left. So there's like scrapings. It almost looks like like scraped an ice cream scoop off of this granite, like scooping what would they call it? The magic ice cream scoop kind of thing. Right. So, and I think that a secret society had use of this technology all over the world, and they got taken out. And maybe that has to do with the giants and stuff like that. And that's how it all stopped. I mean, or it was a huge cataclysm. Like, maybe it was the big flood, who knows, or maybe it was both. But it seems like all over at one point, everything stopped in the middle of working. So, I mean, there is sort of some ancient tales about and myths about giants being more powerful mentally and spiritually as well. So maybe they were kind of like a different race that had different powers,
Well, there's those elongated skulls, right? That people say they've found these skulls that would have contained a lot more brain matter in them in certain areas, South America, I think, and Egypt too. And then, a lot of people will say, well, people, human beings had done that and like, try to
trepanate or whatever they call them.
Right. And like sort of mimic that. But it seems like these other skulls were
different. Yeah.
They had a larger volume inside the actual skull. So they were probably, the humans were, mimicking this and trying to sort of, take that steez, the pointy head, the cone head steez, so to speak.
And I do think it might have been, there's people mentioning sonic levitation or sound waves and stuff. And I kind of do think that's where it ends up as well. But like the same technology that used to scrape this granite probably was moving these big blocks too, just a different version of it or something. But maybe it was like some sort of sonic technology.
I heard somebody Gongs, right?
Ah.
That's what it is. I heard somebody say that they just pour the bricks there, like on the pyramid, and then you just somehow pour the brick and then pour the next brick, which I had never heard that theory before. Sounds practical, but also difficult as well, because you got to.
How do you get the molten liquid up
exactly
the same thing? I mean, that's going to take the same amount of volume and weight to. Is it going to cool off in a certain amount of time too? I don't know. So
we're still at a stalemate. There's no doubt about that.
I mean, it's good. If somebody's thinking they're putting some new shit on the table,
It was the juice.
Yeah. Darren knows. He's not afraid to say it.
Right when the Kanye comment came into the chats.
Yeah, of course. Oh my God. Yeah. If anybody in the chat wants to share a ghost story or a paranormal story, you can hop in here and do that. I'd love to hear it. I've shared 2 of mine. I still got one more. Not yet. I'm not going to share it yet. I think I have one more from my grandfather, for sure. But he used to tell us those stories, and my grandmother too. Like, they would tell us those stories, and I swear to God, we'd be so scared. I think they were real. I really do. I think that like my grandfather did like to pull people's legs, but for whatever reason, he seemed so convinced every time he'd tell us these stories, and I don't know. It's been trippy. Maybe that has something to do with the whole effect on me, with the looking into the spiritual stuff.
Here's the thing with things that are scary and fear, just as a representation and a model for the unknown, and like, what the fuck is the difference between a spirit in another realm that's trying to communicate with you and a ghost? And how do you differentiate between the two? And how do you know, what one is what? It's like,
well, you ask it,
it's a lot of,
and then its head rolls over sideways and starts rocking forward and back.
You're like, is that a nod or a shake?
I can't tell, motherfucker. What is this? Yeah, it's maddening, but fear and the unknown. You're exactly right. Like, those two things are definitely hand in hand. We have to face our fears and acknowledge the things that we don't know, and embrace the fact that it's easier. What was the quote again, Graham? It's easier to
fool somebody than to convince them they've been fooled.
Fool somebody,
and that's a beautiful quote. Yeah. I'm definitely gonna hold on to that one. Slap people in the face with it.
So, Darren, you don't believe in ghosts?
I didn't say that.
Okay.
I didn't say that. I'm agnostic. I've never seen a ghost, but I've heard some people that I believe said they seen ghosts. So, I'm not going to belittle their experience. I'm agnostic.
Fair enough. What about aliens?
Huh. Like I better
what about ghost aliens?
Ghost aliens. I don't know. Aliens are probably maybe coming. I don't know.
You think they're coming?
Oh, that's the next Hegelian dialectic. Hey, everybody pull together. They're attacking our world.
Exactly.
Let's get rid of these borders. Let's have a one religion and one money, and like fight these other beings off planet. And there'll probably just be some AI like animations and shit and some stage stuff, and they're like, hey, if we all come together, it'll be good.
Tupac's back.
It's like pretty good. The aliens are probably out there. I'm not sure that they're visiting or like that we're setting them. Maybe we are. Maybe we do. I don't know. I'm agnostic on that too.
Hey, it's like the idea that you go to different worlds and shit by hopping in a tin can with rockets is really just silly to me. I mean, if you really get into, some hermeticism and stuff, and you get into that deep meditation, you realize that space travel is done. You're this fucking spaceship in ancient philosophy.
Yeah. I mean, I think they went to the moon or whatever, but now they don't have the technology anymore. They lost
the stuff too. Oh, we lost the
they have every piece of information pretty much ever on Google. You know what I mean? But they don't have the technology to go back to the moon. But we're going to Mars. We're going to Mars, bro.
Ground stand up to Mars.
The moon's off limits.
I tried. Yeah. I'm interested to see how talk about egregores and stuff from like Stavish, or even just our sort of increasing awareness of what's going on. I'm interested in the how the phenomena is going to respond to our accelerated disclosure, because the disclosure is happening whether the government wants it to or not. People are sort of realizing there's stuff happening from other realms. Somebody mentioned portals in the chat. Like, how will the phenomena respond to this many more people now believing in something else? I think that's gonna cause an acceleration.
What kind of acceleration?
Awareness.
Oh, what kind of awareness?
Of other things, like this non-material reality. Like, it's gonna blow people's minds open.
I'll see something, or I'll just suddenly believe it.
No, it'll increase. The phenomena will increase. Maybe it's already increasing. There's there's these like weird little orbs skittering in and out of things. There's way more of that action happening. There's like stuff's happening, but it's just discerning what's fake and what's not. What are they faking and what's real? What's the real phenomenon now? And none of us are going to believe it. That's the problem, right? They came out with the UFO thing. It's like, oh man, we've been talking about this for decades, and you haven't acknowledged it. Now we're supposed to believe you when you say that it's here.
Well, belief comes through real experience, right? Or like your understanding comes through over experience. Belief comes through someone else's experience. You know, it's like you could tell me all day with the news and TV and whatever, and beat me over the head with that concepts. But if you go out in the fucking desert and you see a fucking UFO, that verifies your experience and gives you something to hold on to, a reference point. Because up until you experience things for yourself, it's just shit that people told you.
Yep.
Yeah, the aliens is I'm with you, Darren. I'm pretty agnostic about it. I mean, I think if there are, like, it's kind of the same thing as ghosts, where they're like interdimensional beings. Like I'm with you, James. It's like, what do they need a 10 ship that's that spins around? Like, they don't need that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like they've already figured out how to shift from dimensions or something. They've figured something out. That's
maybe. What if it's just like
they're just fucking with us? I mean, I'm a comedian.
The Nazis from the moon.
For the 2022 simulation, it's running on this beat up old hard drive. It's been on it 100 fucking times. There's some dinosaur shit on there still. Creeps over once in a while. The Bigfoot, all this stuff is just glitches in the matrix.
I like it. That's interesting. Yeah. I think we're going to talk about that, actually. A buddy of mine is a programmer. I'm trying to get him, and I think I got another person as well to.
But probably space is fake and nothing leaves low Earth orbit.
Yeah, I think that's probably accurate too. Probably. But who knows?
What a thing to say.
Yeah, you got to hop in a can and find out for yourself. I mean, that's what it all boils down to. Is our experience can only go as far as what we actually go and check out and get our hands on and taste and touch and feel and smell. And fucking Captain Kirk didn't go above high orbit when they shipped him off planet. It's like, give me some physical, tangible concepts to hang on to. Theories. I mean, theories are fucking theories, and there will always be theories until proven. And so like these things are neat musings and cool concepts. But I have to come from the belief. Like, I know if I could interdimensional travel and check out fucking inept humans from another perspective and fuck with them all day, I mean, I'd be amusing myself left and right. It's just like
Simmons and pancakes. That's straight out of Robert Anton Wilson's book, where the aliens just leave pancakes on dude's door and shit. Like,
especially when we're about to either like destroy ourselves or leave the planet. I mean, this is like the final chapter in their in their tourism trade, right? They're like, you got to go see the Earth. We got to go see the Earth before shit goes down, man. They're either gonna leave this planet or blow it up.
They're gonna be extinct,
dude. Yeah, like
nukes are real.
I think when I die, I'm just gonna go, and then I'm gonna have a bowl in my hand and a lighter, and like look over at my friend and be like, "Holy shit, that was crazy!" And then he's gonna be like, "Don't hit it again," you know. I don't know. I mean, there's no telling. The hard drive.
You wake up on your desk in like 5th grade history. I guess you don't have history in the 5th grade. What do you have in the 5th grade? You have like, are you a boy, girl, or a transsexual? That's what you have in the 5th grade now.
Yeah, that's what we're going to talk about today.
I'm going to wake up from this and probably or die from this and probably wake up on my first acid trip. Like, do it all over, dude.
When was that?
That's undisclosed, but yeah, I was at an early enough age to really let me know, like, fuck authority. Yeah. Fuck anybody that claims they know what the fuck is going on.
His parents were like, we can either go see this physician that'll work on you,
let's give him some acid, Beth.
Or oh my God. Yeah, it is crazy. I mean, every day it seems like it just gets more and more ludicrous out in the world.
Breaking down. The simulation is breaking apart.
That's why I'm a comedian, because I just get to laugh all the way to my demise. It's just too funny. It's like it can't. Sometimes it's so funny, it just doesn't seem like it could be real. Like, it just seems so absurd, and it just when I don't think it could be any more absurd, something new fucking comes along and be like, here you go. And it's just like, all right, it just confirms. I mean, I really thought I was in a simulation when I was 16. And I had this epiphany, and I told all my friends, and they're like, yeah, whatever. And now 25 years later, some of the smartest people in the world are like, we're in a simulation. We're like, yeah, I was thinking about that before it was even a topic.
It's possible. It's plausible for sure.
We just had Rizwan Verk on the regular Grimerica show. His latest book was The Simulated Multiverse. So he gets into that and the Mandela and all kinds of stuff. He's great. He's kind of been a tech guy for so long, and he's going into a PhD in this stuff. But whoa. Yeah, his version, like, he really gets into the multiverse thing, which is pretty fascinating.
Wow, that's cool. Yeah, I'm gonna have to check that one out too. That's
this is why I don't sleep. There's constantly something new to dig into.
It is a problem. It really is. It's like, I need to focus on me, but it's like, I want to, it's back to that dilemma of like original thought versus, knowing what's going on and understanding what other people have said so that you can take what they have done and built on that. It's like, if I just started from zero, I would be like, I might just be discovering, some silly thing, but
you know what? I think a lot of people don't realize that the answer for their human experience is inside of them. It's not in everybody else's experience. And they don't meditate, and they don't look within themselves, and they don't give themselves enough credit, because there's a fucking thing from a cult of scientism called a PhD that all of a sudden you can't fucking know anything unless there's an authority, right? And so everybody grows up thinking they have to listen to an authority, and they don't realize that they're the authority of their own life. They're giving all their power away. And like, the deeper that I go into my thoughts, the deeper my creativity goes, the deeper my insights go, the deeper everything goes, versus trying to find answers outside of me. But it's great to like do research and find common points and consistencies, and draw conclusions and have conversations with people about these things. But really, those answers are inside of you, and the more people you try to find the answers outside of you, the more that it's just going to be a confusing fucking pile of craziness.
Agreed.
I like it.
And Will's in the chat. He's got some good questions. How come nobody has created an air force out of Merkabas to fly through the astral realm and take down the creeps in power?
Exactly.
These are the kind of questions.
That's the kind of help we need. Like,
that's right.
I don't have Merkaba. I got a Cosahedron. I got a fleet. I'm fucking doing that shit, Will. You fucking can't give me the plans. Come on down. We'll range. I'll show you how to build that shit.
That was like the shape of the UFO I saw, like a dodecahedron or an icosahedron, split in half.
That was the Jews too.
Yeah,
Yep.
that was in Israel. Yeah, it was in Tel Aviv, and the halves were rotating against themselves, and the whole thing was spinning on its axis. It pretty much looked like a D20 split in half. Yeah.
That's cool.
So what was that? I mean, that was a Merkaba type thing almost, but I don't think it was aliens now. I mean, maybe I thought it was when I was younger, but now I think it's just some sort of weird black project that's,
Pretty
been
racist.
around for way long. That was back in 1990. So those things shouldn't have been flying around, apparently.
Were you high then too?
I think so. No, I think we were probably just having a few beers. I think Israel was pretty. I don't know if we were smoking a lot of doobies in Israel.
They're pretty cutthroat.
Well, Egypt was too, and we managed to do it there. So I don't know. Managed to sneak one onto the pyramid. Well, that was back in the day when you could walk up, when you could climb the pyramids a bit.
Whoa.
I'm gonna try again.
All right.
You got 3 weeks to prepare, homie.
Don't forget to bring your DMT hitter for the King's Chamber.
I've never been more prepared.
Oh my god.
What's a TR3B?
I don't
That's
know.
a triangle, like the triangles, the black triangles.
I don't speak geek.
A good movie, Rise of the TR-3B, is pretty good. Actually, it talks about how many international space programs have that symbol in their logos and stuff. It's pretty cool.
Oh,
And then
I'm
there's
completely blonde about that. What is? I don't even know. I've never even heard that reference before.
I think it's just like honestly, I don't even know if it's the real name, but it's just the nickname that these black triangles have had, like TR for triangle 3B.
Okay.
It's like the big black silent triangles, basically, that we made, not, the black manta. Yeah. That we made, not from aliens. I mean, I think the tech was probably stolen from aliens, but that's the narrative, but we made these black ones, I think. I mean, that's my biggest beef about the UFO thing is who's flying around in the big black triangles.
Right.
Yeah.
Silent, fast, I mean, we saw a plane go over us, like a big F-16, I think. No, not an F-16, a C-16 or a C-17, maybe one of those big cargo planes, like 50 or 100 feet over us in the Grand Coulee in Washington. And it just went flying through the coulee, and it was so fucking loud. And that's the thing about UFOs. Like, you see UFOs and they're making zero sound at all. And they're flying, zipping this way and that way on some sort of energy system that we are not allowed to know about. I think that's the key part. We're stuck here fighting over fossil fuels and carbon and CO2, and they're flying around in black triangles.
Well, I mean, they always have the good stuff.
It's true. I mean, if you go back to like 1960s, right, when these disclosure things, they're talking about flying saucers. It's like, if you saw one of those, you just make fun of it now. You know what I mean? Like, nice jalopy, bro. Like, you're so late to the party. Like,
look, we can see the rivets, dude.
Yeah, come on.
That's the CIA's version of UFOs.
That's vintage. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's like an old UFO.
People in the 50s were going to buy that shit, now we're more sophisticated, and we've been watching TV for 50 years, and now they need to, up their game.
So, yeah, I mean, you got the stealth bomber, and these are things we know about, right? Like the stealth bomber apparently flies completely silently.
I had one to fly over me in the New Mexico desert on I-40, and that fucking thing was loud and scary. And like, we were the only car on the road, and they purposely did a flyover and fuck with us. And I can tell you it wasn't that quiet.
Is it a stealth or a B-2?
It was a stealth. It was definitely like one of those crazy, like triangle, like
the weird
W.
shapes. Yeah.
It was fucking awesome. I mean, that thing was amazing looking. I got goosebumps right now just thinking about how cool it was. And But I mean, it rumbled the whole car. It like blew up dust and like, it was insane. Like I'd never experienced anything like that before. Like they were definitely like, hey, look at that car. Let's fuck with them.
Yeah, I would. And, back to it, I would too. Like the Simonton pancakes, or like look at these two stoners are definitely, let's fuck with them. And you're in a stealth bomber, just like a fly. I cannot blame them. No, that's crazy. I mean, like, yeah, you look at the evolution of the technology. I don't know, maybe people, and then it goes back to that whole like theory, right? Like if you don't have a category or a place for it on your map, then you can't identify it anyway. So, maybe those things were scooting around in the 50s too, but people just couldn't really identify them, or they thought they were crazy, or, put them in a home for stuff like that. You know what I mean? So it's kind of hard to know. I tend to go with a more like interdimensional sort of thing.
That's more my speed.
Yeah. I mean, I know there's shit out there because of the sleep paralysis fucking shit, like that's where that whole thing, that's been something that I've had to deal with consistently, even past seeing some weird ghost whose head swiveled and twisted and stuff.
See, that sounds more insane to me. Like I can't even identify with that, but to me, that sounds crazier than ghosts. Not being able to move your body and like, and being a captive audience to whatever the hell is going on in that experience.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird too, because sometimes like the beings themselves have come off as different things. Like one time I thought it was my dad choking me, dude. And that's horrifying. I'm already scared. You wake up, you can't really breathe, you can't move, and you can't scream. So like what you really want to do is like move, breathe, and scream. Those are the big like three, and you can't do any of them. And so like it just sometimes it feels like it seems like there's a woman that's just sitting on your chest, like
sucking dick for cock.
Yeah.
I mean, that's scary. That's way scarier than any ghost story, but there's just no components of a story. So like you tell what happened to you and it's done.
I mean, that's ancient, right? The old hag stuff, right? Goes way back.
The old hag, sometimes thing, right? It's just in the corner. It's just a voyeur. It just wants to watch.
The incubus and succubus. Yep. I mean, this is what I wonder what the ancients did with these NDEs and these other sort of paranormal experiences, right? Come back from an NDE with special powers. Like, are people going to think of you as a demigod, or are they going to try and mimic that?
Go well.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the thing.
Hey, I forgot that was there.
No, I mean, well, that's the weird part about it too. Like
skill will, that's more of a contemporary phenomenon.
Yeah, that's just Thursday night.
I mean, maybe not. I mean, maybe that was happening like 3,000 years ago too. You never know.
Yeah, they say it's the oldest trade or whatever. But yeah, I mean, the sleep paralysis thing it's legitimately scary because I mean but the thing about it, and I read Anthony Peake's book. I've got a couple other friends as well, and that have looked into it. And and one of the things that they say, no, you're good, man. That's we're here to have a good time.
Yeah.
That's
hilarious.
Yeah. We got to share this. I mean, there's no, what if you got drugged by an ugly hooker and you woke up while she was checking your wallet? And that is the setup to a joke. We'll read it to you, Darren. Cardi B made a career of that. Okay. All right. So, but yeah, the sleep paralysis thing. One thing that I've heard people talk about is that shamans would go into caves and intentionally be in the dark for long periods of time. And I think that does somehow, create like DMT thing happening in your brain. But they would have these sleep paralysis demons, and those would prompt them to have an astral experience. And I've talked to Joe about this as well, and a couple other people, and there seems to be evidence for it. I haven't been able to do it because you got to like calm yourself down in that moment. And it's really hard
Awareness.
to get a hold of yourself and just be like, all right, calm down. Cause like you're just, you wake up gripped. So you have to take a second to sort of like, calm somehow down and then try to roll out of your
And
body.
then follow them, like they take you with them, or
I don't know if they're guides.
Oh my God.
I mean, that's a scary thing to follow,
What if you get there, they're like, it just goes next level weird. You're like,
Yeah, you're like, hey,
now
here's
you're
my,
trapped here.
There's all my friends. They're going to rape you too.
Gets rapey.
Hey, we actually got him to come, guys. It's a gang train.
No. Yeah. I mean, the next thing you know, your dream was seated by them, and then you're calling the doctor the next day. You know what I'm saying? It's over.
Plan B.
Plan D. It is hard to wake up and just get a hold of yourself. Like that's the whole thing. I had a friend of mine who was awesome. I told him that I was having this issue, and he actually he cleared the room, and we kind of worked together, but he kind of, did that whole bit. And one of the things that he talked about, and sometimes he'll be in the chat, my homie Ben, brilliant dude. And he was like, here's how sort of it works. His theory of ghosts would be kind of similar to yours, Graham, because it was like happening a lot in a room in my dad's house. And my dad's house was relatively new. So he's like, that's kind of weird. It's kind of weird that there would be something in a new place. And I'm like, okay, well, how does that work? He's like, well, here's an example. Somebody could have been in that room building something and like smacked their hand with a hammer and just said, oh, God damn it, or something like that. And that energy just began like that and drew more of similar energy to itself to ultimately become, this negative entity force. Maybe it's still growing, who knows? But to me, that was like the most, like logical and understandable, simple example of how something like that might happen or form.
Hey, my mom told me a crazy story today about my uncle taking like all these possessions from my great grandfather, and he was having all this weird shit happen in his house, and he yelled at the entity to leave him alone, and he gave this lamp to my mother that was my great grandfather's. Well, my mom put it in the house, and she kept on finding the lamp without its shade, and she thought that we, us kids, were taking the lampshade off for more light. And she was yelling at us. We're like, Mom, we're not taking the lampshade down, like we don't care. It's not important. And she would do all these crazy things to try to catch us, like removing the lampshade. And we never did. We didn't have any attachment to it. And then she would keep on finding this thing. And so she thought that that my grandfather was haunting my uncle and then transferred to us with this lamp, and it was like, so she had, my dad and my two brothers, none of us gave a fuck. And she kept on finding this lamp without a shade on. And like, we didn't have a cat that could knock it over or anything like that. So, there's definitely weird, unexplainable phenomenons that do exist that are beyond logic. And, and that does, create the, okay, I've gone to, I've gone through every reasonable and logical possibility, now where do you go there? You've exhausted everything. And so you do end up in this, well, I don't believe in ghosts, but could it be a ghost kind of stuff, And so I think a lot of people have things that are unexplained. I have shit that I lose all the time. I'll look in 10 fucking spots for it. It ain't there. Or 10 the same spot 10 times. And then later on, a week later, and the 11th time I look there, that shit's there. And, so like, what explains these type of phenomenons, I don't think ghosts for me personally, but I find it weird that I could look someplace 10 times and not see it and then see it on the 11th.
It just doesn't grow legs and walk away, James.
Yeah. Well, it really doesn't.
But it kind of seems like it does sometimes. I know what
Shit.
you mean, dude. I hear you. Sometimes just finding my keys, that's like the thing of the day. You know what I mean? That's the hold up.
Well, I mean, if you find your keys, you're gonna find the Holy Grail. So they got to keep you. The universe has got to keep you from getting those keys out and getting to that one spot at the right time to have the right message.
I was thinking about this today. What if the Holy Grail was just so obvious, right? Like, I've been trying to work this out, so work with me here. It was something so obvious and simple that even that it's plastered all over every sorority. It's just live, laugh, love. That's it. They got it figured out, I don't know. I'm still working that out, but whatever. It's kind of true. We do have to intentionally talk about aliens and have fun with stuff like this. But there's some crazy ass shit going on all the time, and it just keeps getting weirder. I think Darren's theory of the broken simulation is just getting out of control. That's plausible. Who even knows at this point? But it is that time of the year.
Subscribe to that.
It seems like you did from
it's amusing,
Yeah.
It's just a guess.
All of it is. Nobody.
The more we learn, the less we know. That's what I feel like.
But why do we want to keep going and we can't stop ourselves? It's kind of crazy, right?
Beats Netflix.
What else are you gonna do?
That's a good point.
You can just go to work and earn money and live life. You gotta make, you gotta investigate and make jokes about things and have fun with it. The 8 wonders of the world were a thing before we had the internet.
It's true. The internet's changed the game. It's maybe exposed how broken this whole thing is. It's the fractal of it, right? Like of itself. Like we're just descending into this rabbit hole. Yeah, we were talking about that. So Gordy says, I'm expected to see Titans at any moment now. Dude, I swear to God, I was just saying that the other day. Like, we might see giants. It could happen. Anything could happen. Aliens, it could be,
They're giant aliens.
Giant aliens.
They're coming. Disclosure, man.
There you go. And it might even be a blue beam. Blue beam could be cool. I've been waiting for the aliens since 2020, if I'm honest.
Oh man, I've been waiting since I was 5.
Yeah.
But I really expected them then,
Well, no, I mean they already laid on too much shit for that. It's like, and here's the thing: if it's on the fucking mainstream news, it's bullshit. Don't buy it. Don't buy it.
What about that last time? Like Graham was saying, it's like they lie, but then the last time they cry wolf, and it's legit.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah. I'm not even going to believe that shit if they tell me nuclear missiles are headed my way. I'll have long enough time to kiss my ass and say goodbye, but I'm going to make a cup of tea and call them on their bluff because I don't have control over it either way.
Or the new COVID strain from Colorado or whatever they were experimenting, 80% fatalities escaped. Yeah. I'm like, okay, whatever. So now you're going to find, now it's finally
they're going to
clean
that mess
for the unvaccinated.
Who's going to clean that fucking mess up?
So dumb.
Seriously, it's going to stink like all hell. Who's going to really do that work if they kill all the slaves?
So from what I understand, this is just coming from a friend of mine who's a nurse. He was telling me there's kind of like a perfect balance that you have to have with a virus or something like that. If it's too deadly, then it won't spread that far because it will just kill everybody in its way immediately, right? So like if it comes out in Colorado, like boom, 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 like everybody just dies within, I don't know, 100 square miles or whatever, right? Like wherever that's at. So it won't get that far. But if it's like the perfect amount of communicable and it's, ultimately damaging or deadly over time, then, there's more people that can get it and spread it. And then, as kind of James is pointing out, people will go away at different times. So there's the cleanup crew is always kind of hanging out in the wings.
I wonder what that percentage is. You know, I wonder what that perfect percentage is.
Yeah, it's a good question. I think it's relatively low.
33%.
I'm not lucky enough to be on the wrong end of that.
I don't think so either. That'd be too easy, dude.
No, there's freaking no way, man.
After
like,
all of
no
this?
way.
Yeah, that's what I
I'm
was
gonna
talking
start
about.
licking doorknobs on the next one.
So why are they making new strains? That's why are they making this shit? Like that doesn't seem like what. Anyway.
Yeah. That seems like a bad plan. Like,
yeah,
they didn't like the first lockdown. They want some new media.
I know they're just rubbing it in our face now. They're just master trolls. Like, oh, you guys, you kind of stopped us the first time. Here, we're gonna make this now.
Okay, it's a humdinger. This is why. To kill us. Okay, I get it. All right. Well, I mean, you know,
they need to harvest us. They gotta like ship our food off to the aliens that are you know gonna sooner or later attack. You know, it all is absurd. It like you don't know what or where, but you know, like through this whole thing, I do not care about shit I have no control over, and I made the mistake of listening to the fucking news for like 3 days, and I buried guns and money and food, and like we got all prepared, and then like on the third day of like being all neurotic, I looked at my roommate and I was like, are we really listening to the fucking news? Are we really believing this shit? Like I turned the TV off, I turned the internet off, and I fucking created art and had a badass time. It was the best 2 years of my life. So you know, I go on, bring me another one, give me more ammunition to create and fucking and give me something to do. You know, I could save the world by smoking pot and playing video games. Awesome, let's do it.
Sounds like Darren. It's been the best couple of years of his life, right, Darren?
Yeah, I haven't been smoking pot and playing video games, so.
I mean, I'm just joking. That was just what people who don't have goals were doing with that time. But, you know, they told you it was an act of virtue if you stayed home and just stay home. And that's what people who, you know, are like, I'll stay home and smoke weed and play video games.
That's also how you beat a nuclear weapon, apparently, too. In New York. Yeah, they were like, go inside and stay inside and wait for further instructions. Further instructions from what, motherfucker? Like,
dude, they used to have us do World War III drills. We did World War III drills where we crawl into our fucking desks at school and like in kindergarten. And it's like, really? I don't think this is gonna do anything. Like it's about instilling fear and being compliant, you know? And it's always about compliance.
Yeah. Yeah, big election coming up, which reminds me to remind everybody out there to not fucking vote. Don't you vote?
Like they count them, motherfuckers.
That might get you censored off YouTube right there.
Right. No, that's
voting.
That's
what
we got this whole stream and no problem at all. But the end, that whole like don't vote thing. Well, I mean, I've said this for years. Imagine if nobody showed up. Like you can't claim authority over people who won't give you the power. It's like, no, dude. Like if nobody showed up and voted these people in, they wouldn't have any right to rule over anybody.
So speaking of elections, in Nevada a couple of years ago, a guy named Dennis Hoff was running against the incumbent, and he was the founder of like the Bunny Ranch, and he died 2 weeks before the election, and they couldn't get his name off the ballot. And he won the fucking election. So, like, how bad of a politician do you got to be to lose to a fucking dead pimp? Like, I mean, to me, that's just like the ultimate. Like, a dead pimp beat the current fucking politician.
I bet that pound works like it's just humming along like a sewing machine.
I mean,
these are like, good.
Voting says this fucking bullshit system works. And that's, you know, that's what I tell people all the time. I do believe, however, voting on your local level can produce some kind of results. But yeah, if you're playing that goddamn game. But you know, back to the other point, who's going to take this stream seriously at this point. We've been fucking crazy all over the place. Aliens and ghosts.
Well, yeah, I mean, on the voting tip, there's a quote by somebody, and they're like, if voting mattered, they wouldn't let you do it. I can't remember who said that. I don't know if it was Bill Hicks,
Mark Twain. I think it's Mark Twain.
That sounds right. It was somebody like awesome like that. Yeah, but yeah,
deciding who to give my power to. Fuck yeah, Glenn Starr. That's exactly that's what it is. It's back to this hero mentality that someone's going to come to your rescue instead of you being like present for your own experience and the things that mean something to you where you fucking live, and that's, you saw the whole thing play out with like Trump and Biden, where they made Trump an enemy and then Biden came to save everybody. And like, that was Biden was the protagonist to save us from the mean Trump guy. And like, it's always a game. It's become theater. It's really theater.
I think it's been theater for a long time. I mean, we were talking about this, or I was with some people the other day where like, I mean, even to 2000, look back at 2000. What a joke. These are our options. It's just gotten more and more ridiculouser as time went on. Like 2016, you couldn't have picked two of the worst people to be going against each other for this. It was laughable.
It was definitely one of the worst options ever. I did not take part in that at all.
I voted libertarian because they could look up whether you voted or not in my city. And I didn't, it was one of those like kind of coercive tactics to manipulate people into voting, so I threw my vote away intentionally. I just burned that sucker because I actually had never voted before 2016. It was the first time I ever voted, and then the last it will probably be the last.
Perot was the last time I voted.
Nice, you voted for Perot.
And literally it was because I was in this. I had to pass this class called Modern Problems or Modern something. It was like a college level class, and I had literally blackmailed my school administration into giving me my diploma, and I had to do some weird, stupid things, like civic things, to like get that last class, to get the fake document that no one's ever fucking asked for, that I got from my grandmother that I could have just bought at Staples. It's like, yeah, that I would not have voted for that too. But Ross Perot seemed a lot cooler than those other two idiots who were fucking going at it back then, and he probably would have done a marginally acceptable job given the fact that president's upper middle management anyway, like he actually makes the decisions.
We know who really makes the decisions, don't we, Darren?
The juice.
That's right, folks. That's going to do it for us this time.
Well, that's a hell of a closer.
That might actually do it for us forever.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, we started.
Was he one? No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, I don't know. I thought it was the king of those guys, but anyway, that's something different maybe. But no, we appreciate it. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much for coming to hang out with us. Thank you to everybody in the chat. I hope you've had a good time. I hope you've laughed. I hope you don't take us seriously, but not too seriously, because that's how we feel about you. But holler at us, shoot us a message. Check out the links in the description below. Find the Grimerica podcast. I'm going to listen to this. It was Rizwan you were talking about.
Rizwan Verk, yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to check that out. And their books, their links are in the show notes. Please go check them. Come hang out with us, guys. We'll be at Mount Shasta live and in person February, right up to Valentine's Day. I think the 13th is the last day. And it's going to be a lot of fun. Amazing people are going to be there. We had such a great time last time, so do come hang out with us, real life in person, and have a wonderful rest of your evening. Hopefully the channel's still here tomorrow. We'll see.
I'm glad this is saved forever.
Yeah, hopefully this. Yeah, thank God for Content Safe, because they're going to put it out on BitChute. They don't give a fuck on BitChute, so hell yeah.
Thanks, guys. It was a blast.
It was great to meet you guys. Thanks for coming on. Yeah,
thanks for having us.
Appreciate it.
You guys are awesome. Take care. Thanks everybody for hanging out with us in the chat. We'll see you soon.